Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat? So the New Orleans Saints are going to go play the Carolina Panthers. From time to time here, we have referenced Dov Kleiman. Do you know who that is?
Dov Kleiman?
Yeah. So I'll give you the very abbreviated Cliff Notes. Dov Kleiman is a guy that's basically just an NFL news aggregator who has a Twitter handle that he doesn't actually report or break any news or anything like that. He just aggregates stuff. Like he'll go and if Schefter breaks something, then he'll go make a post and he'll say like he'll have the whole thing and say per Adam Schefter.
Okay. Right.
But he's got a very big Twitter following and his 313,000 followers, and his Twitter avatar is like a CGI face. So years ago I made a big deal of this because I was like, how do people not realize Dov Kleiman is like not a real human? Like this isn't really a person. It's just somebody running a Twitter account. There's no picture there. There's no record of him ever having worked anywhere. Like he's not a news guy. He's just a Twitter account that's taking other. Anyway.
Yep, I get it.
This is a long story long, but then someone like did an expose and basically outed Dov Kleiman for this, and he was basically, I just love the NFL, and I'm just helping share NFL news. Anyway, I'm not a big fan of the Dov Kleiman account for that reason. Like, he's not actually a guy doing any work. He's just taking other people's stuff and putting it out there. Whatever. But someone did just tag me in this tweet from Dov Kleiman. That is something that isn't attributed to anyone else. It is, I guess, research that Dov Kleiman did and put out on his Twitter account, and it's relevant to the New Orleans Saints. Because how about this? Lowest winning percentage for an NFL head coach over the last 30 years that have coached a minimum of 75 games.
A real coach.
So a minimum, this isn't like, oh, you were an interim for 4 games and you went 0-4.
No.
Minimum 75 games, lowest winning percentage over the last 30 years. 30 years. Back to 1994. 30 years. Doug Marrone, 38%. Dom Capers, 37%. Jim Schwartz, 36%. Romeo Crennel, 33.7%. Dennis Allen, 33.3%. Dennis Allen has the lowest winning percentage for a head coach in the NFL over the last 30 years among coaches that have coached at least 75 games. Hey, man. Yeah, let me ask you. We'll talk a smidge here about Saints Panthers. But if you're in that, like, here's what I'm struggling to reconcile, and you have a different perspective from me. Okay, you didn't play football, but you played professional sports. I'm a guy who talks on the radio and has been a fan, right? How in the world is that organization continuing to proceed as if they're on the right path?
It's the people, it's the fans' fault. Because this guy would have been gone last year had the fans stopped showing up.
And
started booing when he walked out on. I've seen it happen. Just stop going.
I'll push back on you because the reality is with the NFL TV contract, all of these owners, man, they're already in the black before toe meets leather.
I get it.
Because of the TV. And that's not even merchandising and all this stuff. Then Ryan, on top of that, season ticket sales, it doesn't matter if you show up. They've already got your money.
I get it. I understand that.
When you bought your tickets and your licenses now, it could certainly hurt with concessions and merch at the game and parking and all that stuff.
And perception and the announcers talking about it. I mean, stop going. Just don't go. Do like they did in Oakland. You don't think the Oakland A's were making money too? Of course they're all making money. The fans quit going. Everybody stopped going. They made it a big deal. Now they're leaving. I mean, you You have a Monday night game in New Orleans. Everybody shows up. The place is packed. You're excited. But this is a conversation we had last year, too. This guy sucked last year.
But the Oakland problem, and it wasn't just the A's, it's the Raiders, too. The Raiders left and went to Las Vegas. Why did the Raiders leave and go to Las Vegas? Because Oakland wouldn't help subsidize a new stadium. So they went to a city that would. Mm-hmm. And that's common. Let me not say it's common. That's not uncommon. When you look at teams that relocate, by and large, that's a major part of it. I mean, the Bears are fighting with Chicago right now for a new city. The Chiefs are fighting with Kansas City for a new stadium. Like this, the Saints have fought with the state of Louisiana for years about stadium and state subsidies and all that sort of stuff. But that's what happened there. The Saints aren't going anywhere. I'm just looking at it from the perspective, how do you not actually want to win? Like what you are doing very clearly is not working. This is going to be 4 straight years that you haven't made the playoffs. And your roster is just getting older and more expensive, and you keep drifting further and further away from relevance. Your head coach, this is data. The worst winning percentage in the last 30 years of a head coach that's coached at least 75 games?
Bro, it was like, this is not like new.
I know.
Like this has been happening.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, what do you think they are thinking internally? That's the question I'm legitimately asking you is, what do they see internally that literally everybody on the periphery doesn't see?
They obviously think that what they're doing has a chance at winning, which tells me that they don't know what they're doing, that they all need to go. And how does they all need to go happen?
Gail Benson's got to fire him.
They all have to get fired. They all have to go. The whole thing has to stop, and it all has to go. And I get it. Financially, it's not going to kill them to not go to the stadium and not show up. But perceptionally, it's going to put a lot of heat on the person making that decision when they have to go eat lunch and dinner in the city and they have to talk to people like, hey, nobody's going to watch this crap anymore. We're not showing up. Screw you guys. I mean, what else can you do? I mean, that's the only thing you can do. You can sit here and complain about it and all you want.
I've yelled a lot.
Exactly. The next home game, if they showed up and there were 4,000 people in the stands, that's going to be a big deal.
It ain't going to be 4,000.
I get it, but that would be a big deal.
It could be 40,000.
It'd be a problem. That's how you push back on it. You just say, you know what, screw it.
A week from Sunday, they're home against Atlanta. And, the Falcons is the biggest rivalry game. It's a game people love to go see.
Yeah.
I think the Saints are going to win this week at Carolina. As an illustration of how bad Carolina is, listen to what we're talking about here, right? How bad the Saints are. The Saints are in the middle of their first 6-game losing streak in 20 years. They've lost 6 in a row. They're going on the road. And they're a 7-point favorite in the NFL. The NFL, man. This Saints team is horrendous, and they're a touchdown favorite on the road. That's how bad Carolina is.
Yeah, they stink. So
I do think the Saints are going to win this game because I've watched Carolina try to play defense, and they don't. They allow 34 points a game in the NFL. This ain't... this ain't some crappy Big 12 school in the fun and gun offense that's allowing 35 a game. This is the National Football League, and you have a defense allowing 35 a game. The Saints are going to go win this game because Carolina is hapless. Mm-hmm. The Saints at least have some talent. They're old, and they're not good anymore, and they're not well coached, but you're getting Derek Carr back, and you do have your weapons on offense against that miserable defense. So the Saints may give up some yards and some points in this game, but Carolina is atrocious defensively, and you have Olave, and you're getting Carr back, and your offensive line is getting healthier, and you have Kamara, and you have Taysom Hill. So you're going to move the ball and score points. You're going to win this game against Carolina. We don't need to really break it down more. I could sit here and tell you about the injury report with the Saints having Lattimore and McKinstry all out and Adebo's hurt, so who's going to play corner? I don't care because Bryce Young's throwing the football, and Carolina doesn't have anybody other than Xavier Legette to catch it. So I'm not worried about the Saints' defense. The Saints' defense is the second worst defense in the NFL. Is the worst defense in the NFL, statistically by yards per game. The worst defense Or second worst is Carolina by scoring. It's the
Bad on bad.
Sorry. The New Orleans Saints and the Carolina Panthers are the two worst defenses in the NFL as far as yards allowed. Scoring defense by a mile, Carolina allowing 34 a game is abysmal. So you have two bad defenses, but the Saints are at least going to be able to move the ball in this game. I don't need to break it down any further than that. The Saints are going to win this game. They're going to give up some yards and some points because the Saints' defense isn't very good. But Carolina's defense is historically bad, and the Saints are getting Derek Carr back. So the Saints are going to win this game. Pick a final score. I don't care. Like, every team covers against Carolina. I bet Denver last week. I laid 11 points with the Denver Broncos last week against Carolina because Carolina's that bad. And it hit. The Saints are going to win, and they're going to cover because Carolina is atrocious. That's not going to tell you anything about the Saints, though, going to Carolina and beating Carolina because they're awful. So, yes, I think the Saints win and cover. There's an official prediction. I think the Saints are going to win by more than a touchdown in this game. But I still don't know what will have to happen for the Saints organizationally to make some type of move. Because if you haven't done it by now, like, what do you have to see? Like, what else do you have to see?
I was shocked last year that nothing happened. I was shocked that nothing happened in the offseason. I wouldn't be shocked if nothing happened this offseason, but that's kind of where you're at with it.
I agree with you.
You have to want to win a trophy. You have to want to do that, and it's obvious that they don't.
You see, man, that's just it. Like, I think they do. I just think their path, their methodology is so flawed and broken. I mean, I don't know any other way to say this. I've said this so many times over the years. I was okay with this win now approach, kicking the can down the road, as everybody says. I was okay with it at the end of the Breeze era because you were trying to get another championship with Drew. And we've seen other organizations do it, man. The Broncos did it with Peyton Manning. You know, the Jets are doing it right now with Aaron Rodgers. Like, you're all in to try to win one with this aging Hall of Fame quarterback. And look, Denver got it. Denver went to 2 Super Bowls with Peyton, and they won one of them. The Saints came close in 18. They got Nola no-called. And I think the organization just can't get off of that hamster wheel. Trying to get back there, but you don't have Drew Brees and Sean Payton anymore. You've got Derek Carr and Dennis Allen. You don't have a Hall of Fame quarterback and coach combo. You've got the worst head coach in the last 30 years in the NFL and a quarterback that at his absolute best is borderline top 10. And the reality of what he is he's a teens, 20s quarterback in the NFL. You're not winning anything of significance. You can win some games, but you're not competing for a championship with these guys. I think the Saints beat the Panthers, but I think they'll come home and lose to Atlanta. Really good chance you're going to lose on your home field to Jameis and the Browns. Really good chance you're going to lose to the Rams as they're finding themselves a bit. I mean, I think you can win at the Giants, but you got to come home against the Commanders, which your rookie quarterback at the start of the season you felt really good about, but the Commanders look awesome right now.
Yep.
You got to go to Green Bay, who's going to be in the midst of a playoff hunt. You're going to have to go in the snow to Lambeau. You can beat the Raiders in your building, and then you got to go to Tampa, who's probably going to be playing for the division or a playoff spot. I mean, I think there's maybe 2 more wins on the schedule. I think you can win. You can beat Carolina. I think you beat the Raiders. Maybe you can steal another one in there somewhere and get yourself to 5.
Does something happen in the offseason if that's the case?
I don't
you're a
know,
5-win team.
I think it should, but I can't say definitively I think it will. I'm right there with you. Like, if you haven't seen it now, what else do you need to see to get to that point? Right? I mean, how much worse can it get? Careful asking that question, I guess. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.